Juan Soto's at the plate. Grounds one through into center field. Here comes Birdie. Rafael's throw, not in time. Juan Soto's first walk-off hit as a Yankee comes against the Red Sox.
That's how it ended last night in New York. Juan Soto with the game-winning hit in the 10th inning. Yankees beat the Red Sox 2-1. Boston now 4.5 out of the wild card spot. 15 games to play, I think. 16? Yep. 15. 15 games to play. 5 out in the loss column. Chances are getting slimmer and slimmer. I think they're down under 5% now, but that is not really the story on this Roundtable Friday on the Baseball Hour. We'll open up the phone lines right away. 617-779-0985. Matt McCarthy is here. He's on my right. Tyler Milliken is here. He's on my left. And I am going to read to you and to them something they have already heard, you may or may not have, from Kenny Rosenthal of The Athletic, talking about the free agent market this offseason, and with this headline, why the Red Sox need to add a right-handed masher in the offseason. Now, we really know the why. We understand it. I just looked this up quickly. The Red Sox, 4th in the majors in OPS against right-handed pitching. The number against lefties is actually 10th. It's not horrible, although their batting average against left-handed pitching is in the bottom half of the league. They're 17th.
You're also 16-26 against left-handed starters this season.
Correct, but the one-loss record I always found interesting is always a little deceiving because there could be games where you hit and still lost, but not to me but nonetheless, Tyler, you're right, and they have acknowledged they have a weakness against left-handed pitching. They don't have what I would call a premium right-handed bat in the middle of the lineup, which also relates to something Matt McCarthy wants to get to later, which we'll do. But the Kenny Rosenthal story, and I'm going to read you just the lead paragraph, because just about everything you need to know is in this lead paragraph. Rosenthal writes, picture Alex Bregman playing third base for the Boston Red Sox next season. Wait, what about Rafael Devers? Move him to first. What about Tristan Casas? Trade him for a starting pitcher of comparable ability and service, maybe one from the Seattle Mariners. Okay, now again, some of this stuff I've spoken with Jared Carrabis about as recently as a couple of days ago, and we'll get to Carrabis as well. In fact, Jimmy, I meant to put that on the email I sent you. The comment that we played from Carrabis the other day, if we still have that, maybe we'll play that here shortly. Just let me know when you get it. That's me. I should have mentioned that to you earlier.
Have it.
Okay.
I have everything Jared Carrabis right at my fingertips.
Okay, so let's start with...
Including suspension music, Tyler.
Whoa. Please be careful.
So let's start with just the item from Rosenthal. Picture Alex Bregman playing third base for the Red Sox. What about Rafael Devers? Move him to first. What about Tristan Casas? Trade him for a starting pitcher of comparable ability and service, maybe one from the Seattle Mariners. So let me ask you both your initial reaction to this sort of speculation. Matt McCarthy, you go first.
Oh, God, I love it, Mazz. I love it. I just don't know if the Red Sox have the guts and the balls to do something this dramatic. But they need to, right? I mean, we all understand they need to trade left-handed hitters for starting pitching. We all understand that there's an issue with putting together a playoff quality 9 out here. Are the Red Sox willing to do something this dramatic? The only thing that gives me hope in this is, man, that's pretty specific, isn't it? Coming from Rosenthal, like that you lead a story with that. I hope it's something like this, whether it's Bregman, whether it's Pete Alonso, whether it's, you name it, trading for Logan Gilbert or George Kirby or Castillo from the Mariners. Like, this is what they need to do. You need to give up something to get something. We've said this for months. I hope this is true. I hope this is the direction they're going in. I'm not convinced they will, but it's also the direction they need to go in. And if you don't believe that, I'm sorry, you don't know baseball. It's obvious they need to do this.
No, there isn't room for everyone on this boat. And I think we've known that for quite some time. And it's only gotten more crowded with now Christian Campbell factoring into things. And, he shouldn't be included in that conversation on his own because he is that right-handed bat. I do think context becomes very important, too. And what we've seen really play out over the last 10 days or so, where Tristan Casas is sitting against lefties, they are not giving him the respect that he is, the second best bat on the team. And you can have that conversation for what you believe. You go back to last year, he was the best bat on the team. We're talking about a guy in Tristan Casas who had the fifth highest OPS in all of baseball after the All-Star break last year. Just a reminder, and at that point, Cora had to take off, whatever constraints he had on him. We know Cora's way of dealing with young players, especially rookies, protect them against, for Rafael Devers, for Casas against a tough lefty, don't put them through it. And we saw with Tristan Casas when he came back, he played for 2 weeks straight, and they just had him out there every day, and that was their big reason why, hey, we're not even going to contemplate someone like Dom Smith being here, because Tristan Casas is our first baseman. He's going to go and do that every day. I think you now start to pair that with what's said here, and it's like, hey, we're floating this idea of you're flipping Tristan Casas out of everyone in that group, and we're going to move Rafael Devers to first base. That's quite a jump to make. I think that's quite an assumption to believe, hey, we're going to throw a guy in Rafael Devers to be our first baseman moving forward and kind of go from there and expect everything will just play out fine when there's a pathway. If you're going to just go and look at Rafael Devers, and I'm guessing the way he looks right now, right, probably factors in.
Okay, but Milliken, slow down. Let me ask you this simple question.
Ahead.
This report,
Yep.
What does it tell you about how they feel about Tristan Casas?
That he's not someone that they're not, they're willing to discuss him. They are open to moving him, which I think if you went back to spring training when they were begging to work out an extension from him, that's a change in tune.
Okay, so this to me is the real news in this item, is the Tristan Casas part of it. So again, Alex Bregman playing for the Red Sox. We have speculated about free agents coming to Boston in every sport for as long as I can remember. What about this guy? What about that guy? The name Bregman surprises me a little bit for lots of reasons. I was always under the impression that maybe he and Alex Cora didn't exactly see eye to eye when they were in Houston together. Nonetheless, they're both guys who want to win, and if they can be in the same place and win, maybe you can get past that. At the end of the day, they want the same thing. So the Bregman part of it, I guess I put a little less emphasis on that for this reason. The Red Sox don't have a huge say in that. I mean, they have a say by what they offer him. It's Bregman's decision where he's going to play. He's going to be a free agent. If someone else comes along and offers Bregman more than the Red Sox, he's going there. Or he might even stay in Houston.
He was asking to work out an extension after they paid Altuve, and they've basically told him, hey, we're not willing to discuss this until at least after the year, which is pretty telling of what they think of the player at this point.
You're talking about Bregman now?
Yes, he wanted to stay in Houston. He was open to talks. They just haven't really approached him.
Okay, but the point is there could be 28 other teams who could still offer him a deal. But all of a sudden, the Red Sox are willing to move Devers to first base and trade Tristan Casas?
Mazz.
Hold on. Why?
Because they're not crazy about Casas.
Okay, and Milliken, why aren't they crazy about Casas?
I think it probably relates to how the rehab assignment went when you had Alex Cora 10 days before he actually came back saying, hey, it's up to him. You don't hear guys say that, a manager go out on a player, especially a young player, when we know Alex Cora. He protects his guys. That is one of his things. That's why players gravitate towards him. For him to kind of step out, and I think it's partially because he felt Casas threw them under the bus previously with those, knife in the back comments. I feel like I got shot, whatever it may be. I think Cora hasn't been willing to offer that protection. I think you even go to a quote from the last 24 hours when they were asking Casas, about Casas and how he'll feel coming off an off day, and he jokingly goes, depends on how many mental swings he took. That is such an interesting little jab. Like, Cora doesn't waste words or kind of things like that. And what sticks out to me, they're mentioning Willie Adames and Alex Bregman. Do you know there's free agent right-handed bats at first base, major ones, in Christian Walker and Pete Alonso? Why aren't those the guys being attached? Why is it specifically that? Because seemingly there is an idea that they want to move Devers to first base, and I think that's where all these things start to line up here.
Okay, and because they also believe that Casas can get the pitching, and they have to move somebody who hits left-handed. And again, I've been saying this for a long time. Okay, so, and I'm not telling you that I'm the only one. They have all left-handed hitters in their system. Someone's got to go. Someone's got to go. I don't know how many times you can say this before. Nobody should be shocked by this. It's newsworthy because now it's out there. I'm not telling you it's on newsworthy, but someone left-handed has got to go. And Jaron Duran might have to go. And I mean someone good.
Yes.
I don't mean Masataka Yoshida. Okay, and I say that in part because there's a caller on the line. I want to, in fact, Gino in a car. Gino, what do you got?
Well, I mean, right on cue. I was just about to say the lefty problem is Masataka Yoshida because we're paying him $18 million a year, and he's not even playing defense. And not because we signed him to be a designated hitter. It's because he was so bad in the outfield. So that's why I think that is something where you can get at least a fourth or fifth guy from, maybe a third, depending on what team values him that high.
Okay, so Gino, thank you for the call, and I'm not making fun of you. There's an obvious answer to your question. I'm going to let you go. Because I was just going to ask you, what are you going to get for Yoshida?
Nothing
and you said
much.
You're attaching a prospect. You're giving up a prospect and eating money. You're doing both.
You have to give something to get rid of Yoshida.
Von Grisham.
Milliken's right.
I don't even think Grissom's enough. I think you're giving more than that. They're going to want someone, call it a top 7, top 8 guy, but it depends on how much money they eat, and we know damn well the Red Sox don't want to eat money.
Yeah, Mazz. I mean,
Yoshida's an $18 million left-handed hitting DH
Platoon.
who doesn't have power.
Yep. Nice signing, Hein.
What
Good job.
What are you going to get for that?
Nothing. Which is why you need to trade something that's worth something. For years now, guys, the Red Sox have approached it like, well, we can build our team without really giving up anything. Sorry, that's not how you build that's not how you build championship teams. You actually have to give something to get something. Tristan Casas is something. Jarren Duran would be something. Marcelo Meyer would be something. And what you're taking away from this story is that maybe Tristan Casas is the first name on their list of the guys who are worth something that they'd be willing to give up.
And I'll add
Go
on
ahead,
top
Milliken.
of that, Casas we know was asked for by the Mariners previously and the Marlins. And the Red Sox laughed in their face and said, no, thank you. Shut up. We're not doing that. We're actually working on this extension. And Jarren Duran was brought up with the Mariners as well. We know that before the season started. But the fact that he is the first name in that article, that says something. I don't know how else you don't read it that way.
Okay, it should tell you a lot. Really, it should tell you a lot. And I'm really interested in the Casas part of the story because this guy was a centerpiece guy as recently as a year ago. Less.
Spring training.
Beginning of the year. Yes, centerpiece guy.
They wanted to pay him.
Who are they going to put between Devers and Casas? And it also speaks to so many things as to the Red Sox as to how they want to build the team going forward, who they want to pay, who they don't want to pay, and more importantly, whether they're willing to pay enough. The reason Casas doesn't have a contract is because his camp has deemed that the Red Sox have lowballed him. Otherwise, he'd have a deal. He'd be Houck or not Houck. He would be Rafaela or Bayo. Those guys got deals. Houck doesn't have one. Casas doesn't have one. Why? Because they couldn't come to terms or they don't want to sign those guys. But those guys are better players than the ones they've signed, at least so far. But with this particular rumor, I do have another question for you, too. And that relates to what it would do for the club if they were to pursue this. We'll touch on that when we come back on the Baseball Hour. Don't go anywhere.
It's been the whole season. It's who we have, the personnel that we have, but we have good hitters. We're not walking a lot lately, and that's a bad combination. A lot of strikeouts, no walks. You have to earn your hits, right? And we haven't been able to do that. We have to take a look at it. If it's just swing and misses in the zone, or we're expanding, we have to take a deep dive and see what has happened the last 3 or 4 weeks.
It's Alex Cora talking about taking a hard look at the lineup, with strikeouts, all that stuff. And this is just a way for me to tell you, things are going to get very interesting for the Red Sox very quickly. Very quickly. As soon as this season ends, if not sooner, while it is ending, and it's already happening with this story by Kenny Rosenthal today. So, Cora, they're talking about we're going to take a deep dive. We got to look at things. They're starting to get, you're at the end of another unsuccessful season, independent of what our expectations were. They've kind of fallen apart here at the end. And the inclusion of Tristan Casas in this report by Kenny Rosenthal today certainly suggests that Rosenthal heard something about the Red Sox being willing to move on from Casas and moving Rafael Devers to first base. That's a big change. That is a big, big change. So before I go any further, because I teased, how does this affect the team? Let me ask you guys all a simple question. Signing Bregman, moving Devers to first, trading Casas for a pitcher to Seattle. Does that make them better?
Undeniably, yes.
I don't love the Bregman signing personally.
Why?
I think it's the third straight year he's declined offensively. He's a guy actually who had walked more than he struck out constantly throughout his career. His walk rate has plummeted this year in a significant way.
Okay.
Defensively, I think is where you really bring on the strongest argument here because he's still elite. It's 90th percentile out
Does it make
average.
them better?
Not enough. No, not enough to do the deal.
See,
that's how I would frame
My
it.
answer is yes. Yes, I would do it. Yes, it makes them better. Now, all the things you're saying about Bregman might be true. He's still a good player. He might not be a great player, but he's still a good player.
How much are you willing to pay him? That's more of it. It's Matt Chapman just got 5 years, $161 million. You're
Okay.
giving that to Bregman?
It's less of my concern because they get the money.
Okay, but that's, I think, where you're starting because I do think the money matters for a team that's holding purse strings and wants to be careful.
Okay.
Where I would sit there and question is, it depends on what you view Tristan
Milligan,
Casas
let me put it
as.
to you this way. Don't get hung up on Bregman.
Okay.
Moving Devers to first base, trading Casas for pitching, does it make them better?
I don't believe in Devers at first base. I can't feel confident in him out
So
there
no,
defensively,
so you're a
I'd
no.
say no.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
No,
where I
it's
land.
I'm a
yes.
yes.
It's a yes. It has
I'm a
to be
yes. I'm a yes. Because they don't have pitching, they got to get pitching. How are you going to get it?
You have other ways to get pitching. You can trade an outfielder. You can package Marcelo Meyer in a deal. You still have Trevor Story here, and you can go add those guys and put Devers in DH and get the most out of him. I think there's more efficient ways to manipulate the roster.
Okay, so you'd rather keep Casas and move Meyer?
Yes, I would
Okay.
be more willing to do that.
No, it's fine. I'm trying to understand what the logic is, and that's okay. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I think it makes them better. And I also don't love Casas. And when I say I don't love him, I think that Casas, it's not about whether Casas is tanning in right field before the game or whether Casas has this very deliberate routine and steps in the box at 12 seconds on the pitch clock, or, he is a creature of habit. At the end of the day, if he hits and produces, no problem. I asked you to look up a story that was written last year. Was it in The Athletic? Was I right about that?
Yep, it was written right in The Athletic. It
Okay.
was right after the Cleveland series.
Okay, and there was a quote in there from one of the Red Sox coaches about the kinds of things Casas was working on defensively when the team wanted him to focus on it. Can you read me that quote?
Yep. So this is Carlos Feblis, who was the one who was quoted in the story. And this is how it's framed. Feblis and Vasquez said Casas' pregame work often includes preparation for unusual plays far from the bag, plays that rarely happen in actual games. And the coaching staff wants him to focus more on the routine plays that happen multiple times a day. Feblis said this: I don't disagree with his intent, but sometimes it's like, why work on something that only happens once or twice a year? If you have to go catch the ball over there, we're in trouble. It's the one here close to the bag. That's what we're missing, so that's what we need to improve.
Okay. So that quote should resonate with every single Red Sox fan and anyone who watches baseball.
Mazz, one more. Ramon
Yeah,
Vasquez,
go.
the bench coach. He's got his own routine, but it's the big leagues. You've got to adjust. You've got to make adjustments when you get up here.
Okay, so this is the part of Casas that you should find annoying. He's obstinate, which is a nice way of saying stubborn. The point is, he's not open to doing the things that'll make him a better player. So that whole scenario, why you're only going to catch the ball over there once or twice a year. My understanding was it was a pop-up down the right field line that's close to the stands, which, by the way, he effed up this year anyway.
He's also messed up the routine one multiple times in the last 2 weeks on balls hit right to his left that he's trying to pick. He's not putting the body in front of. It happened to Bayo when he was in New York. It happened on the recent homestand at Fenway.
So why is he focused on making the difficult play that's a pop-up down the right field line when that might happen a couple of times a year instead of fielding ground balls that are hit to his left or his right?
Because he's flashy.
Bingo.
And he wants to get attention. And this is who he is. And listen, the stuff, the painting the fingernails, the tanning, that doesn't bother me. He's a weird dude. That doesn't bother me. It's this type of stuff that bothers me. I think Tristan Casas is all about Tristan Casas. And in some ways, that's holding him back. And they think it's going to hold him back. So, you've got to move on from somebody. You need to move on from somebody good. Why not move on from him? Now, I'd still make the argument, I'd still trade Meyer over Casas. So I'm with you on that, Milliken. But I don't like the hesitation in, I wouldn't trade Tristan Casas. It's not efficient enough. No. You need to trade a left-handed hitter for a pitcher. Plain and simple. And you need to trade a good enough one so you get a good enough pitcher in return. Everybody outside of Rafael Devers and maybe Roman Anthony should be on the table. I would not trade Roman Anthony. If you're getting Paul Skeens, I'd trade Roman Anthony. That's not happening. So other than that, everybody should be available. And if he can get you Logan Gilbert or George Kirby, bye-bye. I'll drive you to Seattle. Hop in the Mazda 3. It might be a little uncomfortable going 3,000 miles, but we'll make it happen. Bye-bye. See you later.
Jimmy Stewart, do you remember last year when Casas got thrown out trying to advance to third base on a play when the ball was hit to the right side?
Of course they do. We ripped him mercilessly.
And do you remember the comment he made after the game? And I'm putting you on the spot again here, Jimmy, so forgive me. He had this long, detailed, drawn-out explanation for why he elected to run from second to third.
And it wasn't his fault. Yes, I remember it.
Do you remember it?
Can I find it?
Yeah.
He did the same thing on that ball that skipped by him recently where he exactly broke down a baseball taking a hop and why, you could never predict or ever expect a ball that would hit this exact spot on the infield grass would kind of jump above your glove. What I did was what you would usually expect. So at the end of the day, I wasn't able to kind of be ready for that spot, and it is what it is. I think when I look at Tristan Casas, though, there is something to me that proves when you do it at the big level to the degree he did. I can't overlook a second half where you were one of the best hitters in baseball.
Oh, he can hit.
Oh, he more than can hit. But what we've seen so far, he was good those first 10 games. He's fallen off since then. To me, it would have to be the perfect package to consider moving Casas, and I would worry because I'm just not confident in how you would replace that.
Wrong.
If you're willing to go get Pete Alonso or Christian Walker, that's a different conversation to me. Moving Rafael Devers to first base without hesitation, that would not be the first thing I'd try to do.
Milliken, real quick, you got to get out of this mindset. I like you too much. You got to get out of this mindset.
I'm willing to deal a prospect. I'm not scared.
Perfect. No, it doesn't need to be perfect at this point. They need to make a 50-50 baseball trade.
Of course.
They do.
But
they need starting pitching.
When it comes to Tristan Casas, I'm also not just shipping him just to get a deal done. You have different possibilities here with the pieces, whether it's Meyer plus an outfielder, because more likely than not, there's still an outfielder that needs to go along with another guy to make this all work.
They got to trade 3 lefties this offseason.
It's a hard combination to put together here. All I'm saying is to jump down that way to go pay an Alex Bregman, who more likely than not is on the decline here, and we're seeing it. I think there's better ways to go about it.
By the way, I got it wrong. I said Casas ran from second to third. It was the opposite. They were in the field.
It was against the Pirates, wasn't it?
It was against
and he went and he threw the ball to third base.
Right, right. He had an easy out. He tried to throw across the diamond instead to get a runner advancing to second to third on a tag play, no less. Right, on a tag play. So I want you to listen to what he says and explaining it. Forget about the fact that he made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Okay, especially young players. They all make mistakes. But I want you to listen to how he explains it or justifies it. Jimmy found it. God bless you, Jimmy. Excellent work. Fire away.
Yeah, I had been anticipating a ground ball to me. I knew we were down by 2. We weren't in a a countdown for outs. Exactly, I feel like we needed a big play to shift our momentum. I'm not saying I was trying to get it back all in that one play. I knew the man at the plate was the fastest man on the field, and I knew the catcher was running at second base. I anticipated a ball to my right, possibly throwing to third and trying to get that out to prevent a guy getting to third base with less than 2 out, with less than 1 out. So that was the thought process behind it. I knew it was going to be a tough play, going to my right and then either feeding or beating Cruz to the bag. So I thought just where we were in the game, it'd be a good play to try to take a shot and try to cut him down at third, and keep the double play in order and hopefully get us out of the inning with the next pitch. But that was where my thought process was.
You know what I think? I think this guy's a bullcrap artist. That's what I think he is. I think he's a bullcrap artist. That whole thing, what a load of crap. What a load of crap. And you know what he never said in there? Although he kind of zipped over it. It was a mistake. It was a bad decision. I should have taken the out. He never owned up to it. Never accepted the responsibility for it. Instead, it was, oh, look at how thoughtful I am. Look at how much I had already in my head understanding the situation. Catcher was running, fastest guy was going to first. I knew it all, guys, which is what he sounds like every time he opens his mouth. Every time Tristan Casas opens his mouth, he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
He's got the answers to everything.
It's exhausting. It's exhausting. And J.D. Martinez was similar, but he was a DH and he hit. And at the end, they let him go too. This guy's worse. He's been in the big leagues for 5 minutes. Go ahead, Milliken.
But you get to the end of last year and say what you will with all this stuff involved, and he does the hitting, and no one has a damn word to say. You have Alex Cora over the offseason calling him, hey, he was our offseason MVP this past year. What he was doing working at Camp Story, with the rookie development program, with all these things, and you're getting multiple reports throughout the month of spring training. We want to work out a deal. We're trying to work something out here, and I don't blame Casas for hesitating, because if I sat there and I was one of the best hitters in baseball in the second half as a rookie, I'd be sitting there telling you too, hey, I just put up better numbers than Rafael Devers did this year. You think I'm going to sit here and sign some cheap deal? I'm not Ceddanne Rafaela. You think I'm worried I'm ever going to hit at the big league level? No, I'm not. Sorry. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to go out. And that's why a lot of people had Casas as, an MVP candidate this year or someone who was going to get up there, and it hasn't worked out. And I think for them and the way things have played out this year, that act, it gets old when you don't produce. And I think when he's gone cold here, you've seen how quickly Cora's pulled the plug there. To me, to just know that hitter is still there, I'm not willing to just jump off the boat that quickly on him. I think he is too special of a talent.
Oh, sorry. I thought we were up
Oh,
against
no,
it
we are. We are. Thank you for being thoughtful enough of that.
Tony, you had a great rant at the time on this incident, but I just the closing line on it is worth before we send it to Matt for the update.
Okay, go. Take the out, you jackass.
It holds up.
Is the whole rant in there? Do you have the whole rant? Oh, you know what, Jimmy? Maybe we'll play it. What, was it really long?
90 seconds, no commercials.
Let's play it when we come back.
Sure.
McCarthy will get you caught up on the McCarthy will get you caught up on the headlines. And then I want to introduce to you a possibility about what they're doing with Tristan Casas. Okay? We'll get to that when we come back. Take the out.
Houston's best baseball banter. The Baseball Hour with Tony Mazz on the Sports Hub.
Casas should be better than he is. Duran is just raw. Like, and he's already he's improved at least a little. I don't know what Casas' problem is. I think he's got his head up his ass, if you want to know the truth. He's got for a big guy, he moves okay. His feet are okay. His hands are pretty good.
Well, he said his footwork was immaculate.
No, I know. Impeccable. Yeah, no, he's like Gronk out there. Really. I mean, and the other thing is, I just don't like the way he talks. I admit, it bugs me. Like, they asked him about that error, and he's like, well, first step, drop step. Like, so you broke it down technique, like you get the technique down perfectly. And I had Jimmy pull the sound. I won't play it for you. I've played it on the Baseball Hour a bunch of times. When he was asked about the play against Pittsburgh early in the year, and he was asked about throwing across the diamond instead of just getting the out at first base, you'd think he had written a 5-page paper on it before the media walked in. Like, he had every angle covered. Well, no, I went through it, read the situation. I'm like, there's no way he did all that in his head before the play. No way. What he did was an impulse read and react kind of play, and he tried to make a play, and it blew up in his face. Then he tried to justify it afterward. And the other thing is, isn't it nice of you to, take the liberty of making a play with your team's fortunes at stake? Take the out, you jackass. An underrated part of that play. I was trying to shift the momentum. Well, in the process, you let down the other 8 guys on the diamond.
Yeah, you killed the momentum.
Right? Like, it's not your place to change the momentum. Just do your job. The manager will decide when you need to do things to try to change momentum. Change pitchers, pinch hit, whatever. That's the manager's job. You do yours. But freaking Nostradamus over there at first base, Mr. I have all the answers, has to do it his way. I
Take
find
me out, you jackass.
I find the guy insufferable. I do. And I just, let me add this, because I want to get to Trevor's story, because there's something happened in the game last night that went up McCarthy's ass, Jimmy Stewart too, and they're not wrong for thinking the way they think. And McCarthy had some terrific numbers on Trevor's story that I want to get to. The one thing I wonder, because Milliken, what you're saying about Casas' value as a hitter is right.
Yeah, for me, just to make it clear, the reason why I cling to someone over Casas, and I think in this deal, in this plan, you move Devers to DH, and then you can go get Bregman or Adames, and you figure it out with him and Trevor Story because he's under contract, and you move someone like Meyer is. Do I look at Tristan Casas or Marcelo Meyer? Who do I think is closer to being a star? I think Tristan Casas is, because I've seen him do it for a half. I think Marcelo Meyer will be an above-average ball player. I don't think he'll be the kind of special bat that Tristan Casas will be. And yes, we're talking different positions. I understand that, but that's how special I think Tristan Casas' bat is.
Okay, and Matt, you think the opposite. You would trade Casas to get a pitcher back.
Oh, no, I would trade Meyer over Casas, but I'm not as opposed to the idea of trading Casas as Milliken.
Okay, so again, there's an absolute debate there on Casas. That's totally fine.
We agree. A deal needs to be made. I would cling to Casas.
Okay, and I will tell you that it is possible that this is now out there just to kick Casas in the ass. Okay, don't rule that out. The Red Sox used to play this game with Manny Ramirez.
Well, Ken Rosenthal in that piece goes, the Red Sox wouldn't want to trade Casas. That line is in there if you read through it.
It is. I read it. It is. It's in there. And sometimes with a young player, you think you got all the answers? We'll just trade your ass to Seattle and you can go live in the Northwest.
That's what that story last summer was, though. At that time for Casas, when they were talking about his fielding, it goes, you do want to act like you know everything? Well, watch, you're going to get put on blast.
Okay.
That's it.
So I think that there's a chance that that's what this is. I wouldn't rule that out. Now, last night, was it the 9th inning or the 10th inning?
Ninth.
9th inning, Trevor Story came to bat. Man in scoring position.
Yeah, 2 runners on, first and second.
Right-handed pitcher on the mound. He was allowed to bat. Did he strike out?
He did, yep.
He struck out in that at-bat, because what was the next at-bat? A pop-up?
Yeah, they brought Casas on to pinch hit for Jansen.
Oh, yeah, he hit the ball to left center field.
Yep.
Okay, but the point is, Story struck out. Jimmy Stewart said this to me as well, but you speak for both of you now. Tell me what your opinion was on that whole sequence.
I tried to warn you. And Mazz, you weren't here this summer to hear the warnings. So, Jimmy, did I try to warn Mazz and the people this summer about Trevor's story? He is a problem. He's a real problem. Letting him bat against Conley last night in the 9th inning was inexcusable. He can't hit right-handed hitters, or right-handed pitchers, I should say. When are we going to wake up and accept this?
No.
I've been screaming from the mountaintops for 2 months on this. This is why I did not want Trevor Story back in a playoff race, because you can't let him hit in a big spot against right-handed hitters. Pitchers, again, he can't hit them. We need to stop treating Trevor Story like he's a good hitter. He's not. He is a platoon hitter.
Give me some of the numbers. Do you have
Trevor Story, last 4 years, batting average against right-handed pitchers. Starting in 2021, 234, 233, 191, 231 in limited action this year. His OPS against right-handed pitchers, this is the real one. Going back to 2021, 735, 702, 549, 550.
And that 2021 year was in Colorado.
Yes, it was.
Okay, so in Boston, his OPS against right-handed pitching, 702, 549, 550.
He can't hit right-handed pitchers. He's a platoon player. I've been saying this for months. He can't do it.
And that comes down to whether they want to spend money, first off, and just admit that there was a mistake, and they haven't been willing to do that. I will also add, for context, I think the number you do look at is 2022. I will not look at last year when he couldn't hit a baseball in general one way or the other, because I just think we saw a guy. I think what we would see right now and, prior this year would mean more than anything last year, but I would look at 2022 as still that, but it will never justify feeling comfortable with him in that position one way or the other.
They should have pinch hit for him last night. And they're not treating him like the player that he is. They're treating him like he's special, like he's an all-star player. I live in the real world where Trevor Story blows, okay? He can't hit. I don't live in a fantasy land where he's the all-star player he was in Colorado in 2019. They're treating him like he's the second best player on the team, not the second highest paid player on the team. They're treating him like he's infallible and, no, he has to hit. No, he should not hit. Tristan Casas should have pinch hit for Story last night, not for Jansen.
Okay,
mistake.
So I don't disagree with any of the observations you have about Trevor Story, except there's one thing, and I said this to Jimmy earlier, so I'll just repeat it now. There was zero chance that Cora will hit for Story.
And that's the problem.
Zero. And
Who sits next to Cora on the dugout, on that little bench spot right next to him when he was waiting and rehabbing? It's Trevor Story, because he's viewed as really their veteran leader, because Rafael Devers isn't that guy. And I'll also add, on top of it, it's the defensive stuff as well, where they know more likely than not we're going to have to go out there and get 3 more outs, even if we want to win this game. Do we trust this infield without Trevor Story? Hell no. We're probably going to throw a game away, and that's what they're clinging to.
But that's the problem. Is he's a defensive player who can hit against left-handed hitters, left-handed pitchers, third time I've done that, who can't hit against righties. And they won't treat him that way because what? He's a mascot? Because he's Alex Cora's
money
buddy?
Invested in Cora's one of his trusted guys, and we've seen in the past, whether it was Kike Hernandez or whoever it was, you will get the longest leash in the world if you were one of Cora's guys. And for Trevor Story, money plus that, they're just going to keep throwing him out there, because even the front office, I still think they cling to the hope that he's even the 2022 version of himself.
Stupid.
Are you a league average hitter with elite defense? Can we at least get that out of you?
He's not that.
He's certainly not going to do it when the team is 500 and 5 games out of the playoffs with 15 to go. So, and again, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Your outlook on the player is correct, when you look at the numbers and everything, but they don't frame him that way.
If he was,
I thought this was a strictly numbers organization. I thought Cora wasn't allowed to actually have feel for something, even if that feel is wrong. I thought it was like, here's the book now, Alex. Alex, you've been paid your hush money, $7.5 million a year. Here's the 3-ring binder. Go by what the numbers tell you. You're not allowed to have feel anymore.
You're not paying.
I thought that was the Cora we got
he's
now.
Making the decisions, and that's why I don't give.
I'm sick of Cora's act, by the way. Cora needs to go, and I know it won't happen, and I'm barking up the wrong tree here, but I'm sick of his act. He's moody one day. He's in a good mood one day. He's in a bad mood one day. He wants to leak stuff to Ken Rosenthal that he wants Tristan Casas out of here now. Like, he wants to do all this stuff. He wants to talk off the record to everybody now. Here comes more Cora leaks. You watched the last 2 weeks of the season, because he gets no blame for this Red Sox season, for this Red Sox team, for the 3rd season in a row, going right down the hopper, going right down the river, going right down Bleeps Creek.
No, I think when you talk about where Alex Cora
now I'm yelling at you, Milliken.
No, I don't disagree with a lot of what you're saying there, and I go and look at Tristan Casas. If you want to talk numbers, and listen, I looked like an idiot on Twitter because I was crying about Danny Jansen.
I don't want to hear it, Milliken.
Spare me. I'm making a point. I'm siding with you here.
Leave his mic on, Jimmy.
But when you're starting to talk about what happened even yesterday, you're putting Danny Jansen in the lineup. You're forcing him in and pushing Connor Wong to first base. There's no number in any situation, whether you want to talk about just lefties this year or the overall hitter, where he's better than Tristan Casas. Strictly numbers tell you play Tristan Casas. It's that simple. Put Connor Wong at catcher. No, this is Cora stepping in here, feeling some type of way, clearly about how things have gone. Casas, you're going to go sit on the bench. The numbers tell you play Tristan Casas. Now, Danny Jansen homered, and he looked good. Great. The other starts, not so much.
The day will come where Cora hits for Story. We're just not there yet.
It can't come soon enough. He can't play.
It's going
Terry
to take
Francona once hit for David Ortiz with Mike Lowell in Toronto.
It's going to take
Ortiz
another
was
spring
pissed.
training.
Well, go ahead.
It's going to take another spring
At
training and
least.
him looking awful for a month.
At least. And by that point, if things go well, Story
When can we criticize Cora for all the crap that's gone on the last 3 years down the
You
stretch?
can criticize Cora all you want. He deserves it. The team deserves it. It's falling apart. Again, but I do want to get to one other story in baseball.
Sorry.
That I found, don't worry, that I found to be unbelievable. We'll get Milliken and McCarthy's thoughts on it as well.
Cora's basically doing what that catcher did. He's giving away games now.
Okay,
he doesn't want to be in the playoffs either. He just wants to go home because now he's got his money.
But when Jimmy says what that catcher did, many of you don't know what that is. We're going to tell you when we come back on the Baseball Hour.
Stay tuned for more of the Baseball Hour coming up on the Sports Hub.
Before we go and break for the weekend, a lot of energy, a lot of fire on this show tonight, Jimmy.
It's a good roundtable.
It's good. People are, I was saying, the end of a Red Sox season, the Red Sox can light a dumpster fire like nobody. They light the best dumpster fires. It is when they fall apart and things start to get snippy. Oh, they get good. The Red Sox stuff gets great.
They're cooking with gasoline, Mazz, with their dumpster fires, no doubt about it.
So let me just read you this story, and I want each of your assessment in 60 seconds each, if you can.
I'll give it to you in 10.
I was about to say.
Okay,
Milliken's going to take the extra 90.
Spare me.
The Minnesota Twins released minor league catcher Derek Bender on Thursday after he told opposing hitters the types of pitches that were coming to the plate during at-bats in the game last week that eliminated his team from playoff contention, sources told ESPN. I'm not going to read that again, but I'm going to say it again. A minor league catcher for the Twins, Derek Bender, told opposing batters what pitches were coming in a game that eliminated his team from playoff contention. Bender told multiple hitters for the Lakeland Flying Tigers, a Detroit farm team, the specific pitches being thrown by starter Ross Dunn, sources said. I think it goes without saying that Dunn is probably pissed. Now, and when you ask, well, why the hell would he do that? Here's the sentence in the story. Bender had told teammates he wanted the season to be over, according to sources. McCarthy, go.
Mazz, you've covered baseball for many years. You know what the end of a baseball season can feel like, where you are actively rooting against the team you cover because of, like, sweet cheeses. I just need to get to the All-Star game. I called a Bourne Braves game once where I pumped my fist. I pumped my fist as a guy gave up a home run to cost us the season. I'm like, I want to go see Springsteen tomorrow. Season's over. I just can't believe a player acted on that.
Unbelievable.
Media people, no, everybody gets into it. A player, I love this story. It's awesome.
Milliken, go.
If I was the pitchers on that staff, are you kidding me? These guys are trying to make it in life. They're trying to have anything hold on to a career, especially at this level of the minors where you flame out and things don't go well. They'll never hear from you ever again. You may not even stick a job in indie ball to do something. Now, great for him. He played college ball this year, so maybe he's a little tired. He still signed pretty damn good money. His pick was worth a little over $300K. He was barely under slot, so this wasn't some chump they threw $10,000 to and said, "Hey, come hang out with us," and whatever.
Sixth round pick.
He had a legit investment in him to just throw that money out the window. What a loser! Those pitchers better find this man and take care of business. That's all I'm saying.
He got released. Twins did the right thing. I'm eager to see whether or not anyone picks him up. Something's wrong with the kid. Okay, something's wrong there. He needs help.
He sounds like a Red Sox to me. He's not interested in winning.
Seriously. What professional athlete says, I want to go home?
Alex Cora right now.
You got drafted this year. This is supposed to be one of the best years of your life.
Unreal. Unbelievable story. Anyway, to both of you guys, thank you as always.
See you,
of course.
Okay, we'll see you next Friday.
Yes.
Of course.
Is that right? We got a couple more to go.
2.
Jimmy, do we have a final date on the baseball hour if the Red Sox don't make the playoffs?
It's either September 30th or October 1st, and Jared Krabis will be with us, whatever that day is.
So that is a Monday or Tuesday?
Yes.
Okay, so the Monday or Tuesday, it'll be the last show will be the Monday or Tuesday after the season ends.
Yes.
Okay, so there you go. Joe Murray has you for the balance of the night. I think he's pulling a Tristan Casas and tanning under the TV lights over there.
He's going to rake tonight.
McCarthy's got your headlines. Well, everybody have a fabulous weekend. We'll catch you next week.
From the Town Fair Tire Studios, the Patriot